That beautiful touchdown pass you just saw was thrown by Fran Tarkington of the Minnesota Vikings of the National Football League. That play was good for 89 yards against the Chicago Bears last season. Today, Fran is going to show us some of the techniques that have made him one of the top passers in professional football. These tips will help improve your passing, no matter if you play for fun on your neighborhood sandlot or on your local school team. Fran, what does it take to throw a football the way you do?
Hard work, concentration, and lots of practice on fundamentals, Bob.
Let's take a look at some of those fundamentals, Fran.
Fine.
The grip is most important. Notice how Fran covers as much of the ball as he can with his throwing hand. His fingers are comfortably spread, with all tips except the forefinger on the lacing. He keeps the palm of his hand off the ball. Learn to control it with your thumb and forefinger. From the time the ball is taken on the snap until the last second before throwing, the ball should be gripped firmly and held in good position. Fran is ready to throw the instant his receiver breaks into the open. There it goes. Perfect. The follow-through allows Fran to shift weight from his back foot to his front during his throw. And notice how he uses his wrist to snap rather than push the ball to his target. When passing long, Fran throws the ball higher in the air, causing it to float or hang on a hook, as the pros call it. Here's the short bullet or loaded pass. The rule of thumb is to throw the long ones high and the short ones on the line. Let's watch an actual pass play as Fran Tarkington employs all of the fundamentals he's shown us. He takes the snap and drops back, gripping the ball correctly. Perfect strike. And there he goes, in for another Viking touchdown. It's easy to see that it takes a lot of practice to become an accomplished passer. Fran, would you show us some of the drills that boys can do in their own backyard?
Sure, Bob. Here's a simple one I use to develop my grip. Kneel on one knee. Place the ball in front of you. Reach down with your passing hand and bring the ball into position behind your ear. By continually doing this, a boy will soon get the feel of how he should grip the ball every time he passes. Younger boys should use one of these youth league models. They're smaller and much easier to grip. From this same kneeling position, the follow-through can also be practiced by bringing the ball past the ear and then throwing to someone 7 or 8 yards away. This drill eliminates the tendency we all have to throw sidearm and teaches the correct overhand motion, like a catcher uses in throwing a baseball. One of the best drills for teaching accuracy is to throw at an old automobile tire on a tree or a goal post. Boys should start at a distance of about 5 yards, then gradually move back as they loosen up and improve their accuracy. For a moving target, just swing the tire back and forth.
Passing requires strong wrists, Fran. What would you recommend for the wrists and forearm development?
Bob, when I was a boy, I strengthened my wrist and forearm by continually squeezing a rubber ball.
Thanks for these excellent tips on passing, Fran. Tomorrow, our guest will be Tommy Mason, star halfback of the Minnesota Vikings, who will show us how to catch passes. So until then, this is Bob Richards of the Wheaties Sports Federation saying, see you then. perfect touchdown play you just saw was scored by Tommy Mason, star halfback and pass receiver of the Minnesota Vikings of the National Football League. It looks simple the way Tommy does it, but to become a good pass receiver requires hours of practice. Today, Tommy's going to show us some of the fundamentals of catching a football, which, with a little bit of practice, can help you to become a top pass receiver on your sandlot or local school team. Tommy, what's the most important rule of catching a football?
Bob, it's simple. Never take your eyes off the ball. I always try to look the ball into my hands. Let me show you what I mean.
Notice how Tommy watches the ball. It looks like he's trying to read the words printed on it. As Tommy breaks into position to receive the pass, he starts looking. He doesn't reach for it until it's almost to him. Otherwise, he'd slow himself down. He keeps the arms, hands, and fingers relaxed so they will give with the ball. And he doesn't take his eyes off it until it's safely gripped and ready to be tucked away. Tommy, what do you do after you catch the ball?
A receiver should decide which arm he wants the ball under and then quickly tuck it away. At this point, turn on a burst of speed. Often, this will break you loose from a would-be tackler and result in a long touchdown play.
A good pass receiver must be able to fake and break away from the defensive man. Tommy works 2 or 3 hours a day on moves he thinks will beat the defense. This one is called the change of pace. Tommy takes off fast and continues at full speed for a few yards. Then when the defender is going back at full speed, Tommy slows up, making him think he is going to stop or break right or left. When he slows down, Tommy turns on a sudden burst of speed and is in the open for the catch. This is called the hook. It is one of the most widely used patterns in the game. Tommy sprints right at the defensive man, and as he starts to move back, he pivots around, keeping low, and there it is. Now we see the hook and go, used mainly to confuse the defensive man when he's stopping your hook pass. As he comes in to defend what he thinks is the hook, Tommy spins to the inside or outside and turns on the speed. In most cases, he won't be able to change direction quickly enough to prevent the receiver from getting away. Here's the sideline pass. This pattern is used to avoid a defender playing you deep. Notice how Tommy fakes to the inside by throwing his head and shoulders in that direction. He then makes a quick cut to the outside and is open for the pass. Just to prove it works, let's watch Tommy Mason, number 20, making one of his great catches during a Vikings game last season. How should youngsters practice these techniques?
I would suggest starting alone on the patterns at first. Then get a friend or your dad and try your skill on them when you think you've got them down pat.
I'm sure everyone watching Tommy has learned a great deal about pass catching.
I certainly hope so.
Tomorrow, Tommy Mason will be back with more information on running and backfield play. Until then, this is Bob Richards of the Wheaties Sports Federation saying so long. See from film that Tommy Mason of the Minnesota Vikings is one of the finest runners in professional football. He gained 740 yards, scored 8 touchdowns, and averaged better than 4 yards every time he carried last season. Tommy, how about showing us what it takes to be a good running back?
Fine, Bob. Let's start with the stance.
Most backs use the sprinter stance, modified slightly to help them get away quickly. The feet are spread comfortably. If you are right-handed, the right foot should be slightly back of your left foot, with weight evenly distributed on the balls of your feet. Keep the knees bent and on a line with your feet. The right hand should be placed on the ground slightly inside the right foot and directly below the right shoulder. The fingers should be spread and carrying some of your weight. Rest the left forearm on the lower part of the left thigh and keep the head up and eyes straight ahead. When carrying the ball, the upward point should be tucked firmly under the armpit. The bottom of the ball should be held in the palm of the hand with the fingers spread. If going through the line, keep your arms and body over the ball until you have broken free. Run low and hard, keeping your head up. When you are hit, hang on to the ball. Runners fumble because they get careless or lazy. Tommy Mason uses many running techniques as he eludes would-be tacklers. This is called the stiff arm and crossover. Notice how he whips his inside leg over the outside while using the tackler's head as a lever. When he lands away from his opponent, he uses all the speed he has to break free. Tommy takes advantage of his blockers. He stays behind them until the tacklers are drawn in, then suddenly changes direction and sets up a perfect screen. When running a play to the right, the ball is carried under the right arm. This leaves the left arm free to ward off tacklers, since the majority can be expected to appear from the inside. As the defensive man starts to reach the ball carrier, note his sudden change of pace. This move will usually fake the tackler out of the play completely. Here's the typical Tommy Mason run during one of the Viking games last season. See how he controls the ball. There's the change of pace to escape oncoming tacklers. That's ball carrying at its best. One of the most effective things to a runner is a good straight arm. How do you perfect this, Tom?
Well, Bob, I practice as often as possible against a standing dummy or a padded post and do push-ups every day to keep my arm and shoulder muscles built up.
Thanks for these helpful hints on running, Tom. Tomorrow, our guest will be one of the top kickers in the National Football League, Don Chandler, leading scorer of the New York Giants. So until then, this is Bob Richards of the Wheaties Sports Federation saying so long. It has been proven many, many times that punting is as important in football as running and passing. A ball that goes out of bounds in the coffin corner or one that rolls dead on the 1 or 2 yard line can often put a team in the hole for the entire period. Our guest today is one of the greatest punters and place-kicking specialists in the business, Don Chandler of the New York Giants, the leading scorer for the team. Don, what does it take to become a good kicker?
Kicking properly takes hours of practice daily, plus a lot of determination, Bob.
Let's go through some of the various phases of good punting and place kicking. In doing anything well, you should always get started right. When punting, stay loose and relaxed as possible. Take the snap from center naturally. Don't fight the ball. Your feet should be spread comfortably with your kicking foot slightly ahead of your other foot. Keep your eyes on the ball at all times. The arms are waist high. Notice how the hands reach for the ball when it's on its way from the center. The palms are up with the fingers well spread. The ball is caught with both hands. Don holds it in his right hand so that his middle finger is running down the bottom seam with the laces on top. The left hand serves as the guide and is along the left side of the ball. This hand is removed first when it is dropped for the kick. From this stance, Don takes a short step with his right foot, which is slightly forward, then a full step with the left foot, holding the ball well in front of the kicking foot. His left arm is extended while the right arm is slightly bent. Don, how do you get more distance in the punt?
Bob, by pushing the ball forward and hitting it lower, you can increase your distance. You can hit the ball higher and close to your body, and you get better height, but it cuts way down on the distance.
The ball should be dropped the shortest distance possible when contacting the foot. When it meets the kicking foot, it should be flat. Never punt with your toe. Point it in the direction you want the ball to go. Swing your kicking leg through naturally so that it will meet the ball at full speed. The lower leg serves as a whip, giving the punt power and distance. Lock the knee and ankle joints when contact is made and follow through, balancing yourself with your arms. Don, what kind of drills can boys take part in to help their punting?
Well, Bob, instead of playing catch all the time, I'd recommend that they stand 20 to 25 yards apart and punt to each other. They'll find that before long, they've developed accuracy and better distance. But remember, practice the fundamentals on every kick.
Here's Don Chandler adding 3 more points to the Giants scoreboard with one of his famous long field goals last year. Place kicking requires different skills than punting. The kicking foot is just ahead of the non-kicking foot, with body weight evenly distributed on the balls of the feet. The hands and arms should hang loosely with the body leaning forward at a comfortable angle. The eyes are fixed on the spot where the ball will be held. Notice Don's square-toed cleat contacts the ball right in the middle, about 2 inches from the bottom. The kicker always watches the foot make contact with the ball. This aids accuracy and keeps his eyes on the spot where the ball was placed until his follow-through is completed. The farther your non-kicking foot is from the ball, the more distance you will get with a kick. When your foot is close to the ball, your kick will be higher but shorter. The follow-through is completed by swinging the kicking leg as high as possible, with the kicker's foot landing ahead of the kicking spot. Don Chandler never stops practicing because he knows it's his only way to develop and maintain his technique as one of the nation's top kickers. Tomorrow I'll be back with the final film in this series with All-Pro Ron Mix of the San Diego Chargers of the American Football League. Our subject will be blocking and tackling. This is Bob Richards of the Wheaties Sports Federation saying, see you then. In the film, blocking is really at the heart of offensive football. It's the difference between winning and losing. Our guest today is generally acknowledged as one of the finest offensive linemen in football. He excels as a pass protection blocker and was named All-Pro Tackle for 3 consecutive seasons in the American Football League. I'm referring to Ron Mix of the San Diego Chargers. Ron, how tall are you and what's your best playing weight?
I'm 6'4" and weigh 250 pounds, Bob.
Don't let this size fool you, because this fella can move with the fastest players in pro football. Ron, how about giving us some pointers on how to block and how to tackle?
My pleasure, Bob. Let's get started by describing the blocking stance.
Ron lines up facing forward, feet about shoulder width apart. He bends the knees and squats, resting his arms on his thighs. Ron's right hand is placed on the ground with his weight evenly distributed. He keeps his head up and is ready to fire straight ahead, pull out and lead a play, or drop back and protect the passer. Boys should learn 2 basic blocks. This is called the head and shoulder. On this block, you get under your opponent and attempt to lift him up and away from the play. Let's see that again in slow motion. Ron fires out, head up, smacking into his opponent's midsection. He doesn't stop driving with his legs until his man is flat on his back and the play is completed. The cross-body block. As Ron feels his man slide, he turns, extending his arms, and drives into him with the side of his body. He keeps his body between his man and the ball carrier throughout the play. Watch Ron Mix, number 74, in action last season with the San Diego Chargers. That was certainly beautiful, Ron. Blocking like that paves the way for touchdowns.
Boys should always make a point to throw that extra block after getting their man.
That kind of hustle is certainly the backbone of a winning team. What about tackling, Ron?
Tackling is probably the most important single phase of football. It's mighty tough to beat a team of good tacklers.
A perfectly executed tackle. Let's go back and see it again in slow motion. Note the position of the head. The arms are locked as Ron lifts the ball carrier and drives him into the ground. Always keep the eyes on the runner's belt buckle. He can fake with everything except this. Good tacklers have their weight well balanced and are ready to move in either direction. Aim the forehead at the ball and drive into it with all your force. A good tackler always lands on top of the runner. In the open field, a missed tackle can result in a quick touchdown. But bone-crushing contact such as this quickly discourages even the fastest breakaway runners. How much importance do you place on desire, Ron?
I personally believe that desire is where football begins. It should lead youngsters into the game. Most of it is inherent in the boy before he learns the first fundamentals. The rest of it comes with the confidence he acquires as he masters the fundamentals and begins to take a pride in their proper execution.
Inspiring words for America's gridiron stars of tomorrow. I hope everyone watching has learned football techniques and that you've enjoyed our new series on how to play football. We've dedicated this film to a sport which we believe emphasizes the spirit of teamwork, fair play, self-discipline, and physical conditioning to all who participate. This is Bob Richards of the Wheaties Sports Federation, thanking you for watching and saying goodbye for now.